Welcome once again to Hope Center Online. A few weeks ago, I talked about the 400-meter relay event at the Olympics, and I spoke of the time when the U.S. dropped the baton and lost. And now we know that an event produced another shocker this year when Canada upset the heavily favored U.S. team and won the gold. Well, today, I want to tell you another story from the Paris Olympics. Not the recent games, but the Paris Olympics of 1924, 100 years ago. And our story centers on canoe racing, which, by the way, was introduced as an Olympic sport in that year in Paris. And once again, the favorite team in the four-man canoe race was the United States. And our story centers on one member of that team, a young man by the name of Bill Havens. You see, Bill's wife was pregnant at the time, and it became increasingly clear that the baby would likely arrive during the games. And to add to the drama, it would be their first child. I need to remind you, of course, that in 1924, there were no jets flying back and forth across the oceans. If you wanted to get from the U.S. to Paris, your only option was a slow-moving boat. Yep, a steamship. And so our Bill found himself in a kind of dilemma. Should he go to Paris and miss the birth of his first child, or should he withdraw from the team and be with his wife? Well, Bill's wife was very supportive. She kept insisting that he go to Paris. She understood that this was his lifelong dream, something for which he had trained long and hard, trained, in fact, for years. And clearly, the decision was not easy for Bill. But finally, after much soul-searching, Bill decided to withdraw from the competition and be with his wife for this very special occasion. You see, Bill believed it was a higher priority to be with her side than going to Paris to fulfill a lifelong, arguably a childhood dream. The United States four-man canoe team won the gold, of course, a medal that he wanted and expected to win at those Paris Games. But here's the catch. Bill's wife was late in giving birth. In fact, she was so late, Bill could have traveled to Paris, won his coveted gold medal, and returned home all before she gave birth to his son. Well, people felt sorry for him. They thought, what a shame that he missed out on that gold medal. But Bill, he had no regrets. His commitment to his wife was, well, simply far more important. The story of Bill Havens is a story of how one man paid a high price to fulfill a commitment of love. And this is the kind of love story that really brings a tear to your eye. And most people are moved by the gentleness of the human heart. I say most people, but not all people. I think back to the story of Jesus and what he gave up to fulfill a commitment that he made. He gave up his life, a commitment he made to us. He knowingly went to his death, and not just any death. He hung on a very cruel cross till the very life-giving blood drained from his body. He was put to death for crimes he did not commit. In fact, there was no crime at all. He was falsely accused, falsely convicted, mocked, and ridiculed the whole time. They tortured him. The Romans called it scourging. That's with whips embedded with bits of sharp metal designed specifically to tear the flesh from his body. The Romans had perfected that punishment. Their goal was to inflict as much pain as possible and just inches short of causing death. And knowing what he would face, knowing it ahead of time, Jesus thought about some other alternative. Surely we can do something else. And like Bill Havens, who had to choose between his wife and the Olympics, Jesus asked God if there was another way. But in the end, he knew there was only one right choice. Jesus had made the commitment, and he knew that commitments are meant to be kept. Jesus knew that his death would open the door for all of us to be made right with our God. Death was what we deserved, but Jesus took our place. Jesus made a commitment, and he completed the mission unselfishly, a mission of love. In fact, Jesus delivered God's love, his unconditional love. Jesus came to deliver that love personally. And he said he would come back again to finish the greater mission, to prepare for the return of God, the reunification of heaven and earth, providing his love through eternity. But that's another story, another commitment for another day. Right now, there's more to the story of Bill Havens. His son Frank, the one whose birth was more important than going to the Olympics in the first place, wouldn't you know it, Frank became a paddler too, a very good canoeist, it turns out. And 28 years later, in 1952, Bill received a telegram from his son Frank. It was a message from Helsinki, Finland, the site of the 1952 Olympics. And the telegram read, and I quote, "Dad, I won. I'm bringing home the gold medal that you lost while waiting for me to be born." End of quote. Frank Havens had just won the gold medal for the United States in the four-man canoe event, a dream of his father, a dream he relinquished to fulfill his commitment of love to his wife in an otherwise lonely delivery room. You see, life will often provide a sequel to our acts of commitment, to our acts of love to each other, especially our commitment to love. And the same is true with God. The greatest sequel of all time is yet to be played out, the return of God's own Son. While Bill Havens was not destined to win a gold medal, he enjoyed and treasured the victory of his son in the very canoeing event of his dreams. And know this, we will come to know and treasure Jesus' victory too. Not a gold medal, but a victory over death, a victory for eternity. And know this, it is a victory reserved for those who have come to know and believe in the commitment of love, a commitment from a man called Jesus, the very Son of God. I thank you for being here today, and I hope you'll come back next week, and I hope you'll come back often for that matter. Even better, bring somebody with you. Tell them we're here every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, right here at Hope Center, or, if you prefer, YouTube, or even Facebook. In fact, go to hopecenter.ca anytime you want, and you'll find this message and hundreds more in our archive collection. You can also keep up to date with all our community activities at Hope Center, or even listen to Hope Center Radio 24/7. Until then, may God bless you here today and forevermore. Amen.